Hello, and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Rob Stockwell. The Bloomington Board of Public Works met on May 23rd and approved a noise permit request from the City of Bloomington Utilities Department. The permit applies from June 4th until June 30th, 2023, and extends from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. each day.
We are doing a utility locate for the Hidden River Stormwater Project in between Dunn in Indiana and Kirkwood and 6th Street. Most of the project will take place in the parking lot, IU's parking lot there on the south side. And as we get towards the end of the project, we'll go out into Indiana Avenue to continue that project. We are wanting to work from 6 p.m. at night till 6 a.m. in the morning to avoid some traffic, some conflicts with some of the businesses there on Kirkwood and the parking. And we're not sure if we will hit rock, but we wanted to make sure that we got a noise permit for that. In case we do, we will be making noise as we break up the pavement and have large trucks in and out there at nighttime.
The Board of Public Works also approved a contract with E&B Paving. The project will start this summer and will resurface parts of 3rd Street extending from Eagleson Avenue to Overhill Drive and parts of West Country Club Drive.
This project will mill and repave East 3rd Street from Eagleson Avenue to Overhill Drive, and also 400 feet of West Country Club Drive from Walnut Street to the west. Bids were opened yesterday with the city receiving 2 bids. The lowest bid was from E&B Paving in the amount of $946,815. Construction will take place this summer. There will be single lane restrictions in place during construction, and the project is funded through a community crossing matching grant and local funding.
Also at the meeting, Rita's Italian Ice, which is moving into Dunkirk Square, requested permission to use the public right-of-way for their walk-up window on Dunn Street. The board discussed its concerns with the walk-up window encroaching onto the sidewalk and road.
Some of the concern that we have with the walk-up window is queuing into the sidewalk there. So if you get real busy on an afternoon and there's blockage of the sidewalk, so we, without having, in ideal situations with the outdoor dining, you're gonna have a tree plot and then the sidewalk and then outdoor dining walk-up windows. With this being a monolithic sidewalk to Dunn Street, can you talk about how you would try to keep any patrons from queuing up on the sidewalk, blocking the sidewalk? Our concern is the ADA standard, Americans with Disability Act standard, would be a 54-inch free and clear path on a sidewalk. So if you could imagine a mobility challenged person using a wheelchair and allowing others to cross at the same time.
Rita's Italian Ice is planning to direct customers along the side of the building rather than allowing the walk-up window line to block traffic on the sidewalk. Despite this, the board was unable to come to an agreement and will discuss the project again at its next meeting on June 6th. During the May 25th meeting of the Monroe County Community School Corporation School Board, Superintendent Dr. Jeff Hauswald presented a referendum that would increase the school's district's tax rate by 8.5 cents.
Whereas we are asking the board to approve the administration to have the authority to investigate the need for a referendum levy at an approximate property tax rate of 8.5 cents. That would include communicating on behalf of the board the tax rate to the Monroe County Auditor to make any and all needed calculations under the operating referendum statute, and also resolving that any officer of the board and superintendent is empowered or directed on behalf of the corporation to take any actions necessary to basically continue the process to make prior to ratification approval. And this step is simply procedural. It will allow Mr. Kinney and I to work with county officials to sort of calculate a rate as necessary. We will be getting information then, continuing to get information from the community. We've had a series of referendum advisory committee meetings. The next step will be to have a public forum, and that's tomorrow night. So I think there was, during a radio interview today, someone said, why do you have a board meeting and then get input from the community? The reality is tonight's authorization is simply allowing us to continue to get information, bring back to the board so that the board can make an informed decision in June or at a date upon its choosing by which they could decide if they would like to elect to have a a referendum. So tonight, again, you're approving this resolution to allow us to continue this process. You are not voting tonight to make a decision if you would like to authorize or not authorize a referendum in the future. And with that, I'd ask you to approve the resolution as presented.
Dr. Hauswald explained how the Indiana legislature's changes in policy would affect school districts' tax rates. He outlined the impact these changes will have on MCCSC.
What I want to point out is that unfortunately in the 2023 legislative session, our Indiana legislature voted to sort of usurp the will of local communities. And what that means is that they're going to set a cap on referendum rates for past referenda that have been approved by the voters. So we know that rate for the 2022 referendum will drop in the 23 pay 24 year. We had planned to use that, some of those additional revenue to continue to expand programming, but that has now been limited by our Indiana legislature. We've had a series of conversations with preschool advisory committee groups, and we know we don't have enough access. We know we don't have enough opportunity for our families to participate in the early childhood programming they need. And we also know that our families face many financial barriers to K-12 education as well. That includes Career Center education fees, certification course costs. For example, a CNA course, if you take the class to become a CNA, you want to take the test, those tests are almost $500. We also know AP exam fees can be a deterrent for many of our families. And so we've just been reviewing that and looking at how can we make sure that we eliminate, as part of our strategic plan in an equitable manner, barriers to many of these programs. And how can we make sure that all of our families are coming to school ready to learn? And that is ideally, we know it's very research-based, that is having access and participating in early childhood education in at least 1 or 2 years. So we're continuing to study this with ultimately our goal to replace a lot of debt. We have debt in our property taxes, our debt service fund that's dropping off. We know that our referendum rate from 2022 will drop off. So we'll be getting more information. The idea, much of the money and the debt we currently have through property tax levies, which go towards brick and mortar, to go towards things. Our goal is to sort of move much of that over so that we can continue to expand programs and to pay people and to provide access to early childhood education. And we know that Betsy, the Bloomington Economic Development Council, has stated that one of their primary goals is expanding early childhood education. It's a workforce issue. It's essential infrastructure. So we'll be having additional conversations in the future, but I just kind of wanted to point out to you that as we go forth over this conversation and study in the next month or so, we anticipate this to be a ceiling, but obviously not where we'll end up in the total tax impact to our families. But we do want to make sure that we levy enough money, especially based on the legislature's new law that actually changes the amount of taxation allowed under a referendum by a majority of voters. So we sort of have that barrier. So we're trying to be mindful of these new realities created by the Indiana legislature to make sure that we have the funds necessary to do what we need to do, what we see as an obligation that aligns to our strategic plan, but also that is going to continue to create the quality of life necessary and valued by Bloomingtonians and by people in Monroe County to continue to move our district forward.
The board approved the resolution unanimously and agreed to allow public discussion of the item at an event on May 24th. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc.
Welcome back to Cats Week. At the Monroe County Commissioners meeting on May 24th, Sheriff's Department Chief Deputy Phil Parker gave an update on the jail.
Jail population of today is 196, so we've ticked up a little bit. Our misdemeanor charges in the facility are 152, felony charges are 37, and we have 7 other holds, and that would include parole, out of county, or DLC holds. So That's our entire population. So we're watching that closely too. And it ebbs and flows a little bit, so that it's not unusual for it to be at that number. An update on the sanitation refurbishment. We've got Block A, Block B, C, D, H, J, holding 1 and 2 segregation cells, and our 3 temporary holding cells have all been completed. Now they've been completely sanitized, refurbished. We are now working on Block E, and that's our female dorm, and we anticipate having that done by May 29th. So we are now ahead of schedule from what I anticipated us being at this point. So we're moving very, very rapidly. And I really think we're probably going to be well positioned to be done with this by, probably sometime in July, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So, up on the 4th floor, we've got about 75% of the common areas completed up there. So we're moving along in those areas now. So we're able to now work on the residential areas and the blocks, and also move some manpower and some effort into the common areas. So this is the first time we've been able to move out in the common areas in the last week. The 5th floor, also where the sanitation has begun. That's where the inmate workers reside and the kitchen is. So we're moving in those areas too. So just a little update on that process.
Parker also gave an update on the number of residents struggling with mental illness and some recent work the department has done to get them the services they need.
A little bit of concerning news, but some good news here too. We're watching the mentally ill residents very closely. As we all know, it's something that we track and pay daily attention to. So right now, we've upticked that a little bit. We have 43, what we would define as severely mentally ill residents, and that's up about 21% of our population. I think the last time I talked to you, we were at 36.
35, 36.
Yeah, 35, 36, and 18%. But I will tell you this. Commander Gibbons, the Assistant Commander Demings, our ACH mental health staff, and the judges and the prosecutor have been working very, very hard, very, very collaboratively. And on the 22nd, we were able to send one of those residents out to a treatment facility. The 23rd, we sent one out to a treatment facility. There's one on the way to a treatment facility as we speak today, and one other is going out tomorrow. So, for 1 week to get that done with 4 of those folks, and what they're doing is they're going to these facilities for competency restoration. So they're hoping to get them back where, at least they're to a level where they may be able to come back and answer to their charges. So, I don't know how long that process will take. It's probably individually based, I would say, but I think it's I think it's very noteworthy that we've got all of these folks, the health staff, the judge, the prosecutor, and our command staff, all working together to get that done. So I'm very, very excited about that we've been able to get that process moving. And it's just like anything else, the more you do it, the more streamlined it becomes. So I anticipate that being something that we continue on with.
Parker also shared that female inmates have received new clothing that was ordered, and they are still waiting on clothing for the male inmates to arrive. Later, Parker said that Sheriff Tony Skinner from Delaware County will be coming on May 31st to give the commissioners a presentation on the RX program.
Yeah, he'll be here on the 31st. Sheriff Skinner, you will like Sheriff Skinner, I promise you. He's a guy who's really he's a forward-thinking sheriff up there, and he's got this plan in his jail right now, and I think he'll bring you a lot of really valuable information as we look forward to.
Next, Fleet and Building Manager Richard Kreider asked the commissioners to approve a service agreement with the Lentz Paving LLC to pave an alley between the Curry Building and Monroe County Employee Parking Garage.
This request is to approve the estimate submitted by Lentz Paving LLC to pave the alley between the Curry Building and Monroe County Employee Parking Garage in the amount of $18,875. The combination of concrete and asphalt from previous underground projects has left the alley surface damaged and uneven. This is a labor-intensive project that will require an extensive amount of handwork to prevent future water intrusion into the bordering facilities. The scope of work includes removing the top 1.5 inches of the current surface, cleaning, replacing with 2 inches of hot asphalt surface mix, and installing water diverting curbs as needed.
Commissioner Julie Thomas asked if the alley was City of Bloomington property. Kreider responded.
There's 2 alleys there in between the Justice, and they connect. The longer alley in between the Justice Building and the Employee Garage is on schedule for 2024. However, the smaller alley that we're talking about, there's foot traffic through there. It is city, but my concern is the work that's been done, that we've done. This is the result of it. And if in 2024 they were to come down and just put down a new surface, we're going to have water entering into the Curry Building for sure. And this needs to be milled down and done a particular way.
The commissioners unanimously approved the service agreement with Lentz Paving LLC. At the Ellisville Town Council meeting on May 22nd, Town Marshal Jimmy Durnall presented Police Officer Alva Bohall with the Officer of the Year Award.
But on behalf of the board, Ellisville Town Board President William Ellis, Town Manager Mike Farmer, Chief of Police Jimmy Durnall, this award is being presented to you not only for your outstanding effort in the calendar year 2022, but also for your 25 years of dedication to the town of Ellisville. You have shown yourself to be a professional, dependable officer at all times. You achieve success when confronted with limited resources. Your excellent ability to control situations that require police intervention have been noted by your superiors. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. I hadn't been here very long and went to back Alvy up on Main Street on a domestic. And as he was walking up, he's about 20 feet in front of me, and he was walking to the domestic, which is in an apartment back of the house. And this guy came running down the stairs of the house and was mouth to mouth to mouth, and Alvy went. And back up the stairs he went. Just that, just that simple. I know I got a scene man here. You achieve success when confronted with limited resources. Your excellent ability to control situations that require limited intervention has been noted by your superiors. You can be honored for your career with the Ellisville Police Department. Your professionalism and enthusiasm is second to none. Awarded this day, May 22nd, 2023, Police Officer of the Year, Alvy L. Bohall. Congratulations.
Next, the council heard the second reading of the water rate increase ordinance. Councilmember Pamela Samples asked for clarification on why they are raising the water rates. Town Manager Mike Farmer responded.
We're raising the rates for many reasons, but yes, we have a 10-year plan that's part of the rate increase, and it actually lays out where and what we will do as far as replacing water pipes. Some of our water pipes are 50 years old, 50 or more years old, actually 70 years old. And so a lot of those need to be replaced and upsized to meet current standards, and firefighting allows for better firefighting capabilities as well. Inflation's killing us as far as normal O&M materials, and we are building a building, and we'll have to bond for it and pay for it. And we're going to move out of I don't know how old the blue building is, but it's probably 60 or 70 years old, and it's rotten to the core, and a couple possums live below us under the concrete. And I could go on and on about the building, so we just need to move into a modern building.
Councilmember William Ellis commented that the cost of not fixing the water infrastructure would be more expensive than this preventative maintenance. Farmer added that they pay attention to when infrastructure will need to be replaced and shared some history on the water infrastructure.
We pay attention to problem
Right.
water mains, and so they get the most attention. And so sometimes a point repair is good enough, but for instance, Smith Pike, that's on our list of water projects, there's got to be, since I've been here, there's got to be 40 or 50 clamps on that main. It sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but it's going to cost a lot of money to replace it. So you just kind of have to weigh, you know.
Guess I'm saying the cost of waiting and kicking the can down the road could be quite a bit expensive.
Well, yeah, and anything we're doing now costs twice as much as it did 10 years ago.
Not to mention the loss to businesses on an
Right.
emergency versus a schedule.
Right. Businesses coming to look here, or even people moving, having water is probably a pretty firm prerequisite.
Well, round one of improving our water infrastructure was in 2013 when we did a bond to put a secondary water line into town. So we have a plentiful water supply since then. And just to remind everybody, we literally was running out of water during 2012. We couldn't keep our tanks full. I'd never experienced anything like that in the 53 years I've been doing this. All the towns were having that same problem. So, you know, that round one of getting the secondary water line has really put us in good shape for maybe decades. But the infrastructure that's still, you know, the old infrastructure, it just needs replaced because of water quality and, as you say, maintenance.
The council unanimously approved the water rate increase ordinance. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to CATSweek. The Monroe County Board of Health met on May 22nd to discuss and approve contract revisions for health department staff. Board President Carol Talukian introduced the contract to alter Administrative Assistant Jamie Ford's position.
What has happened as things evolve over time, that, you know, the current administrative assistant, who is Jamie over here in the corner, is doing a lot more than her job description just describes, basically, right?
Health Department Director Lori Kelly explained what the changes would be, and Talukian amended the proposal to include the tasks of the administrative assistant position.
So there are some modifications that you'll see in bolded on page 2 that more accurately kind of represent the overall
duties, which is assist with preparation of annual budgets, including assisting with authorizing and monitoring the preparation of payroll, vendor claims, purchase orders, transfer of funds, and additional appropriations, conducts fiscal and management research, and compiles data for comparative analysis, ensuring the department directives are met accordingly. Sounds good. Anybody assist with running financial reports as necessary for invoicing grant reimbursement claims, coordinates ongoing staff development and related education, ensuring proper maintenance of professional status, and fulfillment of individual improvement plans. And this goes on and on, doesn't it? Assist with supporting.
duties.
Yeah, well, James is doing a lot more than her original job description. I'd just like to point that out. Assist with supporting department goals by acting as department liaison as directed by the health administrator, able to attend meetings in absence of the health administrator as directed by necessary. May serve as a public speaker for meetings such as directed by the health administrator, execute special projects as directed by the health administrator, coordinates department computer use and technical services, serves as a troubleshooter when problems arise, and reports unsolved problems to technical services department. Uploads and updates department reports and inspection documents to OpenGov system, assists with updating the GIS system with department reports, analyzes and researches laws, codes, procedures with required documentation and retention, able to serve as backup assistant to the financial manager during periods of time off and or vacancies. All those I guarantee you she's been doing because I've heard about them.
The board unanimously approved the revised contract. The board also approved a contract revision to increase Kelly's hours from 35 to 40 per week. Tolukian introduced the contract revision.
One of the concerns that has come up is the fact that our health administrator, always has, but it's continuous to work well over her 35 hours that her job description pays for.
Kelly said that she has recently worked approximately 13 to 15 unpaid hours a week. Tolukian emphasized that with the addition of Senate Bill 4, Kelly's responsibilities will only increase and she will need more time to attend to them.
This is not going to get any better with SB 4, okay? This is just going to continue to get worse. So I think it's time for us to suggest that Lori be moved to a 40-hour week or 35-hour week.
Next, the contracts approved by the Board of Health will go to the Monroe County Council, who will hear the proposed contract revisions at their upcoming meeting. And that's all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Rob Stockwell.